in the almost 1,000-year tradition of the Haudenosaunee people, who the United States acknowledged as a sovereign entity. In the traditional way, the traditional leaders and the clan mothers removed HALBRITTER from his role as the representative to the United States government. Now, Ada Deer, and this is documented by correspondence back and forth. So these are documents that exist, and they've been submitted in federal court on different issues. They've been submitted to the BIA because the issue is still not settled. Ada Deer wrote back and essentially said, you guys are the traditional leaders. You guys are the traditional government. You guys are the representatives of a sovereign nation. And we accept your sovereign decision that this man, Mr. HALBRITTER, no longer speaks for you. Just let us know who does when you pick one. This Ray HALBRITTER had been negotiating secretly with the state of New York and Congressman Boehlert to do two things. One, to have the Oneida Nation recognized by the BIA, because that was required for the second thing, which is for the state of New York to sign a treaty with the Oneida Nation that allowed gambling in casinos, as long as Oneida Nations sent tribute to the state of New York by sharing part of the casino money. Well, HALBRITTER, when he was told, he was not the spokesman for the Oneida Nation, went to Boehlert, told Boehlert, if I'm not in that position, Oneida people aren't going to get a casino. Well, at that time, the United States, particularly President Clinton, was fighting to get the United States government to approve NAFTA. And NAFTA, I believe, passed by one vote in the U.S. government. So every vote counted. So Boehlert gets on the phone with Clinton and says, look, you want my vote for NAFTA, you put HALBRITTER back in. Clinton gets on the phone to Ada Deer, who's head of the BIA, and says, you're putting HALBRITTER back in. Within like 24 hours of the letter that the BIA sent to the traditional leaders saying, we accept your undesignation of HALBRITTER and you are a sovereign nation and let us know who now speaks for you, Ada Deer sent a second letter, this time to HALBRITTER, and says, hey, upon reconsideration, you show me that you have support among the Oneida people, and I'll reinstate you as their representative. And at that time, HALBRITTER was running a bingo hall, because the casinos hadn't come into existence yet. And he put petition outside the bingo hall, and I believe he got approximately 6,000 signatures on the petition. At that time, there were about 900 Oneida people. He sent the 6,000 down to Ada Deer, and it probably would have been enough that he would have sent one signature down, because no matter what he sent down was going to be enough, because Ada Deer was under instructions to reinstate him. Ada Deer then sends a letter saying, gosh, you got support among the Oneida people. You are now reinstated as the representative of the Oneida people to the U.S. government. With that, the U.S. government cloaked HALBRITTER with authority to bind all of the Oneida people by his signature.
You know, the casino itself, the Turning Stone Casino, is actually built on wetlands. And, you know, as the word environmentalist and environment has come from the Native people, because this is our concern, as this is our teachings, that we don't own the earth, that we're just part of it. And if we take care of Mother Earth, she'll take care of us. And, you know, over the past decade, since the Turning Stone Casino came to our area, you know, by the Indian Gaming laws and commission and what have you, now it states that each individual nation, Indian tribe that does have a casino, there has to be a referendum of all the people to have permission to have the casinos, which in our case with the Oneida Nation was never done. All the Oneida people did read in the newspapers that we now owned our casino.
And Danielle has been very vocal. Diane, Vicky, Macy, they have been very vocal in saying that the U.S. government violated the Two-Row Wampum Treaty and violated the sovereignty of both the Oneida people and the Haudenosaunee by rejecting the traditional form of leadership selection and putting HALBRITTER in charge, using the casino profits to create an army called the Oneida Nation Police, which is a private army, most of which are not Oneida people. I want to say 22, there may have been more, armed, uniformed, I guess descended on Danielle's home, used crowbar to enter her home, arrested her, pushed Macy, who suffered injuries, but she doesn't go to a neutral court. She goes to the HALBRITTER appointed court, because with the U.S. government backing, HALBRITTER not only formed his own government, but then he formed his own court to interpret whether his laws were, you know, so the court is funded by the casino money. And so you know, it's just amazing that this is going on, not only in the back door of the United States, but surrounded by the United States.
For myself, I'm a mother, single parent of 3 children, and we have just recently lost our home. It's been demolished by our current federally appointed administrative leader for the Oneida Nation.
When you've got a clan mother, Macy Shenandoah, a faith keeper, Diane, and you've got the people who are clinging to the Confederacy and to the Oneida traditions, and they're being persecuted, made homeless, and where's this Confederacy? Where are the traditional people? It's not a unique story. It's happening in Australia, it's happening in South America, it's happening all over, where indigenous people are being plundered and taken advantage of, and the indigenous people are being exploited. And that's all these casino treaties are, is exploitation of the indigenous people. They are exploiting the indigenous people by forcing them to work, to earn, to pay for the land that was taken from them in the first place. And it's pure capitalist exploitation of the indigenous people over and over and over and over again. And the only thing that'll stop it is if people like Ray HALBRITTER see it and become the type of traditional leader that the Haudenosaunee people had for thousands of years, and that is listening to the people and not his own agenda. And that's the prayer and that's the healing that these people are standing strong for.